Progressive Congress, the APC, today warned against what it calls any attempt to truncate the ongoing fight against corruption under any guise, while also expressing total support for President Muhammadu Buhari's determination to end the scourge of corruption in the country. In a statement issued in Lagos by its National Publicity Secretary, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the party appealed to all Nigerians, especially opinion leaders, to ensure that their action and utterances do not give comfort to those who have looted the Commonwealth. In his words, quote, "Our party promised Nigerians change, but the desired change cannot be achieved if we allow the resources that belong to all Nigerians to be appropriated by a few. How do we upgrade our decayed infrastructure and provide jobs for our people when the money meant for that has been squirreled away by a few?" End of quote. The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC, says the institution is embarking on forensic audits to determine the financial state of the NNPC. Dr. Emmanuel Kachuku also says that more heads will roll as part of its activities aimed at restructuring the company for better performance and accountability. Mr. Kachuku spoke with State House correspondents shortly after meeting President Muhammadu Buhari behind closed doors at the presidential villa.
It's an A to Z restructuring. I've done the first 3 layers, which went to the GEDs and went to the GGMs, to the general managers. You're going to have a lot more now. The GEDs and GGMs will take it to the very next layer, which is the lower layer. And the whole idea is to go back to being able to look at your appraisals. How well have you done in the job that you've done? And if you've done very well, how do we elevate you to positions where you can even offer more service? If you've not done well enough and we can retrain you, we will. If you've not done well enough and there's no possibility of retraining, we'll let you go. At the end of the day, NNPC isn't a public service. It is a corporation. It's going to be run like a company, generating money and profit for people of Nigeria. So that whole concept of anything goes has got to stop. And this is the first stage in that whole process. It's a 3-pronged process that I'm pursuing. There's the people aspect, which we're dealing with now. There's a process aspect. After the people are in the right places, you're going to get people a forensic audit done so that we know clearly, not the one in PWD, but a proper forensic audit that will cover us all the way to 2014, 2015.
The United Nations Security Council has made known its position on maintaining peace in some parts of Africa and the Middle East. After hours of closed-door meetings, the Council President, Professor Joy Ogu, briefed journalists about the political crisis in Guinea-Bissau and Yemen. Our correspondent, Deshawa Josh, reports from New York.
Hours of closed-door consultations on the Middle East and Africa were the highlight of the day, as Nigeria presides in earnest over discussions at the United Nations Security Council. Earlier scheduled to be discussed are the Syria crisis, Yemen's 4-month-old political crisis, and the Liberia sanctions. Professor Joy Ogu briefs on the outcome of the consultations, speaking more on the Council's decision on the Guinea-Bissau crisis.
Members of the Security Council took note of the ongoing tension between the President and the Prime Minister, which threatens to undermine the progress made in Guinea-Bissau since the restoration of constitutional order following the elections in 2014. The members of the Council recall Resolution 2203 of 2015 and stress the importance of national reconciliation, inclusive dialogue and governance, and continued civilian control of government as essential for the attainment of lasting peace in Guinea-Bissau.
And on the Yemeni crisis,
military solution to the conflict is not attainable. We stress that only a political solution will lead to a viable peace.
Briefing on the Syria crisis and Liberia sanctions are obviously left out of this brief, which usually indicates that Council members are still consulting on the issues. From the United Nations in New York, Adeshewa Josh, Channels Television News.
Well, there seems to be tension in Ganiki community in Ilorin East local government area of Kwara State over the real ownership of over 40 acres of land. While homeowners in the area accused the mobile police of demolishing their houses without notice. The police claims that the land has been purchased for the past 30 years.
These house owners of Ganiki community, a new settlement in Kwara State, at about 7 a.m. on Wednesday, trooped out to witness the expected demolition of their structures by the police, which allegedly started about 3 days before. The police have been accused of demolishing the property without prior notice. They claim their properties were legally and genuinely acquired, with these cement blocks used as landmarks.
They continue the demolition of the houses. There are some houses that have reached the window level. They demolish all those houses. And they said the Commissioner of Police, Inspector General, IG, is coming here tomorrow, but said it has been shifted. That is why they stopped the demolition today. But the reaction of the community entirely, we are not agree. We want government to support us. This is cheating. They are cheating us. Please, government should intervene.
Reacting to that allegation, the police public relations officer, Ajayi Okasomi, denied the accusations. He explained that the said land was given to the police by the state government a long time ago.
An approval was given since 1982. There is no any other person that has any property there. And I can assure that I can confirm to you that there was nobody's property that was demolished in that place.
The permanent secretary of the Kwara State Ministry of Housing, Abdullahi Mustafa, confirmed that the government gave the said portions of land to the police. He also advised that individuals should always verify the true ownership of property before making any financial commitment.
All along, everything was given to the police. You know, security is very key. It's very, very important for a state. One of those things that the government has to provide for the people is security. If you allow the police to have their housing estate, it will attract more people to come to this place, and we have more security. They will be able to provide us with more security. That's why state want to concede it for them, since we know the importance of the police.
All said and done, it's expected that this issue will be resolved amicably.
Anambra State Governor Willie Obiano has reassured that his administration will continue to sustain the legacies of the previous government in all facets. The governor was speaking at the 8th Distinguished Guest Lecture Series of the Pan-Atlantic University School of Media and Communications in Lagos. At the event, Mr. Obiano gave updates on his achievements and shared his strategic plan for the future. Our correspondent Temple Ashaju reports.
The Distinguished Guest Lecture Series is an initiative of the Pan-Atlantic University School of Media and Communication that gives its students a rare opportunity to learn from pragmatic leaders in the country. The 8th edition is here, and Anambra State Governor Mr. Willie Obiano is the August visitor, here to speak about his leadership examples in the southeast Nigerian state. Hinging his address on the theme, Sustaining the Legacy of Growth and Development, Mr. Obiano explains that commitment, consistency, creativity is the three-pronged approach to achieving growth in Anambra State.
It is the obligation of the government to make itself understood and loved by the people. Only a very creative approach to governance can guarantee that.
He further explains how his legacy's sustainability has been exemplified in Anambra State within his 1 year in office.
One of our greatest initiatives that have facilitated the new narratives in Anambra State so far is the formation of the Anambra State Investment Promotion and Protection Agency, ASIPA. These investments cut across agriculture, trade and commerce, hospitality, housing, electricity generation, health, oil and gas, and so on.
And with the target of attaining the top 5 rank in World Bank's Doing Business in Nigeria report by 2017, Anambra State plans to achieve this without borrowing.
First, I want my internal generated revenue to be able to pay out all the recurrent expenditure, which include salary, wages, plus other overheads. You know, as soon as you do so, you free up the funds from FAC, you know, to be able to do capital projects.
So much has happened in Anambra State, like he himself indicated. Security has been tackled very frontally in that state. And of course, you know that he has also been able to pay salaries, which many states have not been able to do that.
With legacy sustainability forming an integral part of Mr. Obiano's administration, it is expected that the developmental projects across Anambra State will be accomplished to the letter for the growth of Nigeria's third largest commercial trade hub. Temple Ashaju, Channels Television News.
Next on the news at 10 is Business News with Emana Amawe.
You first. First Bank.
Hello and welcome to Business News. The National Assembly has approved the request for $75 million loan from the World Bank by the Edo State government. President Buhari had written to the Senate and House of Representatives requesting the approval of both chambers to obtain 75 million naira credit facility from the World Bank for Edo State. The Senate set up an ad hoc committee on local and foreign debt to consider the loan requests and report back to the Senate. Meanwhile, in a bid to ensure that the federal government complies with the 2015 budget and the Fiscal Responsibility Act, the House of Representatives has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the implementation of capital projects in the 2015 budget. The motion passed unanimously despite heated debate on the floor, as some members spoke against the motion. Our correspondent, Larry Lasisi, has this report.
One major point of disagreement between past executives and the Parliament has been the level of implementation of national budgets. Once again, the matter came up in the House of Representatives as a motion of privilege. A lawmaker, Patrick Asadu, said the executive appears to have abandoned implementation of capital projects in the 2015 budget.
I'll be faced with the onerous task of explaining that, as in the past, as with previous governments and as with previous appropriations, that this, all the appropriations made. And more worrisome also is that we are spending about 4 trillion on recurrent, but about 500 billion on capital is not being implemented.
The motion immediately drew reactions.
And the fiscal responsibility copiously referred to by my colleague gives this government 3 months. And if it determines that there are not insufficient funds, they can restrict and stop operation. It is there. So, on that point of order, I believe that this motion is premature because the government is still within its timeline.
As the House of the Nigerian people, we need to know what is happening with the budget, because that is the most important piece of legislation that we do. And so I suggest that we take this motion.
It goes down to our duties as National Assembly on how to make sure that the federal government of Nigeria abide by the terms of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, and the National Assembly too oversight the proper implementation and even the processing of preparing the budget.
The motion was then put to a vote.
Those in support of the motion as amended say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it.
The House immediately set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the matter and report back to the House. Meanwhile, the House also approved an investigation to check violations of the Fiscal Responsibility Act by all tiers of government. The sponsor of the motion said the rate at which government at all levels go about borrowing is disturbing.
Most of the states that are owing salaries to their civil servants and indebted to the contractors are those that have borrowed heavily and now suck into the mountains of debt with payment and servicing.
The House will be expected to receive a report on this investigation in the next 6 weeks. The House has now proceeded on a 6-week recess. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
Let's now take a look at how equities fared at this exchange. While negative sentiments continued at the local bourse, at the close of Thursday's session, the all-share index lost 1.14% to 30,752.63 points. Here's Harriet Agbenyi with more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The equities market took a massive haircut as sellers persisted on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange today. Profit taken across all the sectors pulled the all-share index down 1.14% to 30,752.63. Market capitalization closed at 10.54 trillion naira. Seplat Petroleum Development Company was the poster boy for the day's laggards. The equity dropped 4.36% to close at 285 naira. Guinness Nigeria, 7-Up Bottling Company, and 33 other stocks depreciated. Only 10 stocks recorded gains today. Now for the session, Total, Unilever, and Mobil were the top three. The most active contributing to total market volume at Zenith Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank, and FBN Holdings. Zenith Bank today released its half-year result, proposing a 25 kobo interim dividend, while 305.8 million shares were exchanged by investors in 4,168 deals for 4.01 billion naira. Well, those are the day's trading figures. I'm Harriet Agbenyi.
Thank you, Harriet. That's it on Business News tonight. I'm Emana Amawe. Gimba will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
You first. First Bank.
Next on the news at 10, death toll in China. Explosion hits 50. Stay with us.